Hey guys, how's it going? I'm the Duke of Italy, your favorite lo-fi chin owning, if you can see that. Yeah, lo-fi music YouTuber. And today we are going to talk a little bit about DJ Rozwell. None of this is real. And I've got a few reasons for making this video today, other than the fact that we're about to talk about a fantastic release in general, but this is also a very unique listen, and also one that I can never really call a classic because I honestly don't know quite how to review it because it doesn't work in the way a normal track list does. Before I get into much else, I'll give the genre descriptions. First of all, this thing is an instrumental hip-hop record that absolutely blows apart any preconceived notions of what that genre could be. You get elements of ambient at points, straight up ambient at points, dungeon synth more often than not. You've got samples of TJ Miller all over this thing. You've got some hilarious humor, some weird, drugged out, tripped out, psychedelic sections, and you've got sections that I really can't even describe because this thing is so freaking bizarre. And that's really one of the many words I can use to describe this thing as bizarre. But I've got plenty more because, I got a whole other 3.5 minutes to describe this thing. Now, this is an instrumental hip-hop album with all those genres that I just added here, but what makes it different from everything else is that the way it's meant to be played provides a very versatile listening experience, because on the first track, titled Intro, it explains to the listener you need to listen to this album with a 5 or 6 second crossfade and on shuffle. Obviously, you press on the introduction song first, and then it'll shuffle into the entire rest of the track list and then be done. As you can probably tell, this provides a unique listening experience every single time, and it's one that changes so well. It'll give you a different emotion depending on what you start with. There are a couple tracks that I feel like probably aren't the best to kick it off with this certain sample, but at the same time, there are a lot of tracks that work very well at any point in the track list, and it's very few that have a weak moment being back-to-back with some things. I think the only really unlucky way you'd be with this album is if all the instrumental hip-hop tracks are in a row and all the fun little samples are at the end, which is kind of how the track list is made initially, but it's all sort of grouped together in groups that it's all meant to mix together in this really big, beautiful recipe. And then you get this awesome, weird mushroom cake that comes out at the end, because this thing is just so whack, because you got songs like Troll's Tower, which perfectly encapsulate the whole project as best it can with bits of ambient. You got like a dungeon synth inspired hip-hop beat that hits super hard, and it's almost got like a boom bap style 90s instrumental, which sounds sick. And then you got the track Dream, which is probably the fan favorite, probably one of my favorites, that combines footwork with like a little bit of breakbeat, breakcore type stuff going on there, as well as, of course, instrumental hip hop. And you got these bassy hits that just chop away at this thing that are so sick and groovy. And what was weird about this thing is you've got the grooviest, most interesting, really chill, laid back tracks with the hard hitting cuts that are interspersed with all this ambient material, like the Cave of Time tracks, I believe they're called, parts 1, 2, and 3, which are the haziest, most looped out, most absorbing psychedelic experiences. And then at the same time, you've got the Burgerworth tracks, which are these silly little synth tracks that have kind of a feeling like Oh Green World by Gorillaz, or at least that first half of that track, if you know what I'm talking about here. That's another album I've talked about. That's a quickie. But as you can probably tell, this thing is so vast and interesting. And for being about an hour and 13 minutes in length, it gives you a whole lot to work with. This gives you a whole journey. And there's so many ways to enjoy this thing, not even just with the track lists, but, get some drinks and then you sink into it. What's really nice about this is in whatever environment you're in, it's going to really absorb you. Now, the word I would use to describe this thing more than anything else is versatile or re-listenability, because it has both of those things and it doesn't get old even once. And also it's rather humorous. You got the TJ Miller sample where it's called the song Bigfoot, where he provides a situation where you have to choose between sleeping with Bigfoot or E.T. for some reason, which is rather humorous. But at the same time, you've got this really interesting, almost Stranger Things-esque vibe to this whole thing, but 10 years in the future and actually cool. And that is all the time I have to talk about this album. And I hope you guys have the time to check it out. I hope you have a good day. Bye.